Good afternoon. I'm learning so much. My name is Dan Ryan. I'm the City Commissioner of Portland, and I really didn't know what I was walking into. And that happens a lot in this job. All these different organizations coming together with a purpose, alignment. You're checking a lot of, I should have done that. It's good to see you. It's good to be works with my friend, Commissioner Sharon Myron. She's certification staff. You're on this team too? Okay, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go to every table. But no, it's just so great to know that your egos are checked at the door and you're all aligning for purpose, mission, and you're building community. And like this, there was like a brooding section back there, so I assumed that they were with the last speaker's organization. And they were just so thrilled with what you were saying. And yes, and that's what Portland needs right now is more of that type of community. I really didn't know when Judy, thank you for inviting me and inviting me several times, so I actually said yes. And it's so great when you say yes and then you walk in and you're like, it's like a prayer being answered. So it's just really wonderful to be here right now. I wrote down a few things and you said, would you be the keynote? And I said, I don't want to be, but I want to kind of be that a little bit, I think. I don't know, I just wrote down a few notes. I came from the University of Oregon alumni board meeting directly to this. That's why I'm dressed a little bit like this right now. I love the Beavers too, Cynthia. And I just want to say a few things, like why does this day mean so much to me? It started with me, some of you are old enough for me to remember that commercial with the Native American man, and he had a tear in his eye at the end of the commercial. And because we weren't doing the right things for our planet. And I know we didn't do a land acknowledgement, but on a day like this especially, I think of my Native American sisters and brothers. And how awful we settlers, pioneers, whatever we're calling ourselves, have been to this land. And how important that our restoration right now is built on that commitment to the community that originally lived here. So I just want to say that first of all, because that commercial, I think as a little kid, but I remember it just woke me up. My dad was raised Seventh-day Adventist. He liked meat, so he left that faith. But we had like organic gardening before others did. And it was a big deal. It was like in the early 70s, I was in 4-H, the gardening, the Jolly Green Giant Club. That was my first elected position. I was president of that at age 10. Just got things started. And so I really love the dirt. In fact, I can't wait. This afternoon, I'm going to have some self-care time in the garden because it might not be raining, and maybe I can actually get some soil prepared for my garden. And then some of those of you who was alive when Tom McCall was the governor. No, you're all so young and beautiful. Okay. It's funny, he was a Republican, first of all, we'll start with that. And he was an environmentalist. And it's why we have the bottle bill. It's why our beaches have access to that commitment to our waterways being accessible to all people. And so I think it's just in your blood. So when I lived in the East Coast, New York City and New Jersey in my 20s, because that's where I went to find myself, I just noticed I'm an Oregonian. And I'm mindful about the planet in ways that my friends that I was meeting in New York and New Jersey were not. I remember thinking, like, even back then, like, why are you putting bottles in the garbage? Just like us militant about it. And so I think when you're born and raised here and you fall in love with this beautiful space, you're naturally all about Earth Day every day. And, right? Am I the only one that thinks that? Would you root for me too back there? Yes! And I want to do this thing. I don't know if this will work, but I'm trying to connect the dots. I think what's hard about doing this work, especially at this time, is that people get their information in very polarized ways and they stay within their own camps and then tell each other they're smart and everyone else is not. The sad part is they demonize other people or not any other thought. That's called, all of you that hang out on social media, stop. It's like we need to keep doing this, coming together in community and actually getting something done. And what I also notice is we don't connect the dots between different issues. So, for example, a lot of people are well-intentioned and we want to focus on electrification. We want to make sure our air is good in the long run. And so they'll come to city council and we get called names, and we get called climate assassins if we don't do exactly what they do. So if you meet with a company and you're trying to get them to push towards renewable fuels, which is better than fossil fuels, then in 5 years we'll have cleaner air. But we get into this thing in the body politic today where nothing happens because the two extreme groups just yell at each other. A lot of attorneys get involved, and guess what? Nothing changes. That's called status quo. And then those same groups will come and say you shouldn't sweep anyone. That shouldn't be the dialogue. The dialogue should be How are we reaching the people in this humanitarian crisis that are on the streets, harming themselves and others, need to be seen, need to have the courage to figure out how to do that, and albeit as messy as it is, because there's still a soul there, even though they're being poisoned by these awful drugs coming up, starting with pharmaceutical companies in China to cartels in Mexico, up to the city that offers the easiest place to do drugs in the country. And then we're told that we're Nazis if we want to see them and then try to get to know them and build a relationship with them and do something. Hold on and kind of figure out how to land this. So you've got these two polarized groups calling you names, and you're like, okay, then you're a parks commissioner. I'm a parks commissioner right now, and you're at a park, 2 different parks in one day, and you realize that the naturalists that you're talking to are really sad. It's like that commercial, the Native American. They're sad. They start telling you they came to Portland 10 years ago, this one guy, because he wanted to restore streams. So he was doing that at Johnson Creek up in southeast Portland, doing that in their Oaks Bottom at the Willamette River. That hard work in 10 years has been taken away the last 2 years because the same chemicals I was talking about earlier, poisoning the bodies and souls of so many people we love and care about, and poisoning the land that has now taken 10 years of restoration to bring back salmon, to bring plant life, but now it's poisoning that same soil, and that all happened within 2 years, after 10 years of good work. So just stop the name calling. Stop being isolated in your thinking. The dots connect, and I know all of you get that, so I thought I would just riff with you all and say what I really thought, and really take advantage of this beloved community that's come together with all these dots that we've all connected to do the right thing. So as your city commissioner, I am so grateful to not get in your way of good work, and to also be an ally to help you continue to do that work organically, continue to build this, and have government figure out how to support you, not to block you. And just thank you for loving Portland. We are going to have our best days because we're going to be known as a city that got out of this ditch and continue to move forward. And it's going to be a story a decade from now that will be a beautiful story. And right now, reputation's getting, you know what, it's getting tarnished left and right. And the only way it's going to come back is when we have gatherings like this that started with action 3 hours this morning. And anyway,